A federal high court in Abuja has just ordered the interim forfeiture of 57 properties connected to Abubakar Malami, Nigeria's former Attorney General of the Federation and Minister of Justice. This development has sent shockwaves through political circles and sparked intense conversations across the country about accountability, corruption allegations, and the fate of public officials after they leave office. The properties in question are spread across several states, including Kebbi, Kano, and the Federal Capital Territory. According to reports emerging today, the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission brought this matter before Justice Donatus Okorowo, presenting evidence that suggests these assets may have been acquired through proceeds of unlawful activities during Malami's tenure as the nation's chief law officer. The court's decision came after the anti-graft agency filed an ex parte application requesting the temporary seizure of these properties pending further investigation and final forfeiture proceedings. What makes this case particularly striking is the sheer scale of the alleged acquisitions. We are talking about dozens of properties, including residential buildings, commercial plazas, filling stations, and various real estate holdings that the EFCC claims were procured in ways that did not align with Malami's legitimate earnings as a public servant. The commission has been investigating the former minister's financial dealings since he left office, and this court order represents a significant escalation in their probe. Malami served as Attorney General under former President Muhammadu Buhari from 2015 until the end of that administration in May 2023. During his time in office, he was one of the most powerful figures in government, overseeing the Justice Ministry and serving as the chief legal advisor to the president. His role gave him enormous influence over legal matters, prosecutions, and policy decisions that affected everything from anti-corruption efforts to constitutional issues. However, his tenure was not without controversy, as civil society organizations and opposition figures frequently questioned some of his decisions and actions while in office. The interim forfeiture order means that these properties are now effectively frozen. Malami and anyone else claiming ownership of these assets cannot sell them, transfer them, or conduct any transactions involving them while the court process continues. This is standard procedure in cases where authorities suspect that properties were obtained through illegal means. The temporary nature of the order allows the affected parties to come forward and prove legitimate ownership if they believe the seizure is unjust. The EFCC will now have the opportunity to conduct deeper investigations and present more comprehensive evidence to support permanent forfeiture if their case holds up under scrutiny. What is particularly interesting about this development is how it fits into the broader anti-corruption landscape in Nigeria right now. President Bola Tinubu's administration has made bold statements about fighting corruption and ensuring that no one is above the law, regardless of their position or political connections. The fact that a former Attorney General, someone who was literally in charge of prosecuting corruption cases under the previous government, is now facing these allegations has not been lost on observers. Many Nigerians are watching closely to see whether this case will proceed with the same vigor as investigations into less politically connected individuals, or whether it will eventually fade away as many high-profile corruption cases have done in the past. If you are finding this story as fascinating as I am, please make sure to hit that subscribe button, because we will be following every twist and turn of this case as it develops, and you definitely do not want to miss any updates on how this unfolds. The properties listed in the court documents include several shopping complexes, residential estates, and businesses that generate substantial income. Some of these assets are located in Malami's home state of Kebbi, where he has significant political influence and where he previously served as Commissioner of Justice before his federal appointment. Others are in Kano, one of Nigeria's major commercial centers, and in Abuja, where property values are among the highest in the country. The strategic locations of these holdings suggest sophisticated investment planning, which is precisely what has raised flags for investigators who question how a career public servant could accumulate such wealth. Legal experts have weighed in on the significance of this court action, noting that interim forfeiture orders are serious legal instruments that courts do not grant lightly. For Justice Okorowo to approve this application, the EFCC would have needed to present prima facie evidence suggesting that these properties were indeed connected to illegal activity. This does not mean Malami has been found guilty of anything at this stage, but it does indicate that the court found the Commission's initial evidence compelling enough to warrant protecting these assets while investigations continue. The former Attorney General has not yet issued a public statement responding to these latest developments, though his legal team will likely mount a vigorous defense challenging the forfeiture order. In previous instances where his wealth has been questioned, Malami has maintained that all his assets were legitimately acquired through his legal practice, investments, and inheritance. He has previously stated that he comes from a wealthy family and that assumptions about his finances are based on prejudice rather than facts. His supporters have echoed these sentiments, arguing that successful lawyers often accumulate significant wealth and that being a public official should not automatically make one's assets suspect. Nevertheless, the optics of this situation are undeniably challenging for the former minister. The Nigerian public has grown increasingly frustrated with corruption and the perceived impunity enjoyed by political elites. When citizens see government officials living in obvious luxury while ordinary people struggle with poverty, unemployment, and lack of basic services, questions naturally arise about the sources of that wealth. This case touches on those raw nerves and speaks to broader concerns about whether Nigeria's anti-corruption architecture actually works or whether it is simply a tool used selectively against political opponents. As this case moves forward, there will be several key things to watch. First, will Malami or other claimants come forward to challenge the forfeiture and provide documentation proving legitimate acquisition of these properties? Second, what additional evidence will the EFCC present to support permanent forfeiture? Third, how will the court handle this high-profile matter, and will the proceedings be transparent and follow due process? The answers to these questions will tell us a lot about the current state of anti-corruption efforts in Nigeria and whether the system can hold powerful individuals accountable regardless of their connections or past positions. This story is still developing, and we will continue to bring you updates as more information becomes available, so make sure you stay subscribed and keep those notifications turned on.